but I think you need to know enough to be dangerous. I think every tourpreneur should know, because marketing is what drives your business. So you need customers. And like I said, we don't control TripAdvisor or Get Your Guide or Tour Radar. They change one algorithm, you could be off the platform. Or one day they wake up and they say, you know what? We don't like your tour anymore. One button and you're gone.
Welcome to the Tourpreneur podcast. Travel industry veteran Shane Rayleigh will take you on a journey with fellow tourpreneurs, sharing their tips, ideas, insights, and success stories to inspire you to make your tour business the best it can be. And now, please welcome your host, Shane.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 18 of the Tourpreneur podcast. Today, we're going to talk with Ben Dolgoff. He runs a company called Forever Vacation. Now, they're a boutique tour operator that provides premium tours and experiences in Bali and in select parts of Southeast Asia. Their tours cater to millennials and focus on popular places where we can learn about the local culture and, of course, take amazing Instagrammable photos. And I use that word Instagram because that is one of his most popular tours. So we're going to talk a great deal about marketing, particularly digital marketing, how he got set up and how he kind of got set up in record time, because it's remarkable. He's been operational for less than a year. He's already looked after 3,000 guests. Over 3,000 people have been on his tour. So he's had quite a fast start to his business. So, you know me, I'm nosy. I dig into how he got started, what inspired him, what challenges he faced, and then how he got the word out about his tours. So we've got plenty in this episode. I really enjoyed talking to Ben, and there's lots for us all to learn in episode 18 of the Tourpreneur podcast. Welcome to episode 18 of Tourpreneur. Ben Dolgoff, how are you?
Hey, Shane, how's it going? I'm doing great.
Yeah, no, I'm delighted to talk to you. I've had to switch the aircon off. It's really, really warm here, but I'm completely jealous of where you are. Can you tell our listeners that, you know, you're based in Bali right now?
Yeah, so I'm based in Bali, Indonesia, and I spend time also in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, as kind of both our locations are now between Bali and Kuala Lumpur. So yeah, it's nice and warm over here, and it's nighttime now, but yeah, usually the sun is shining.
And originally you're a Boston boy, correct?
I am, yeah. So originally from Boston, Cape Cod, more specific, and I was there and went to college out there. And after college, had a few startups, and for the past 5 years now, 6 years, I've lived abroad. In the last 5 years, I've been in Southeast Asia. So love Boston, love the U.S., but Southeast Asia is pretty special.
Yeah, I can see from those photographs that Bali's always been somewhere I've wanted to visit for a long time. So I hope I get to make that happen.
Well, come on down, hopefully. Yeah, it's an amazing place.
Yeah, maybe because I didn't go to Arrival APAC this year. I hope to go next year, and then maybe I can take the trip after that. Brilliant. So Forever Vacation, I'm really excited to learn about your journey and about your company. And can you share with us, how did this all get started for you?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, I've listened to some of your other podcasts as well, and I've talked to a lot of different tourpreneurs, and it's I think I have a little bit of a different story than most. So right now, Forever Vacation it's a boutique tour company, and we're providing fun, unique, all-inclusive tours, and we're mainly operating right now in Bali and Kuala Lumpur, but looking to expand. But how it kind of initially started was I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've had 11 different companies, all in the past focused around like technology and marketing, and never in tourism. However, I've always been passionate about traveling and meeting new people. And like I said before, I lived in Southeast Asia for the past 5 years. So I was living in Vietnam for a couple of years, and my girlfriend, Janie, who's my business partner now, we went from Vietnam, took a vacation to Bali, and we just loved it, like most people do. So we're just a little bit crazy, and we said, you know what, let's just move here. So 2 weeks after we went on our vacation, we moved to Bali. At the time, I was just kind of working on doing some marketing consulting, and we started to meet some really cool people out there. A lot of locals, just amazing, down to earth, fun people. We were going out on tours and hiring drivers, and just great, just meeting some friends there. And as we started talking to them, a lot of them were tour guides. One of the main jobs out in Bali is, for locals is tourism, hospitality. So tour guides is a big one. And we saw that they were so passionate about Bali and their home island and showing people around. However, it was really tough for them to kind of get consistent work and consistent jobs. And, being from a marketing background, like online, I love that kind of stuff. So it was kind of like a fun thing. We said, hey, let's work together a little bit. We'll help you out. We'll set up a website and we'll, do some marketing, get some guests and see what we can do, and we can pass them over to you. So just as like a kind of a trial. And what started out as one or two kind of tours a week, after the first couple of months, it grew into something now that's about 7 months later is 19 team members. We have about 150 private tours per month, and we have a team of now 19 team members. So it was something that kind of started off as like a fun thing to help out, and what helped out kind of turned into a company, into a business, and now it's just been it's a blink of an eye. It's growing fast, luckily, knock on wood. But yeah, again, I hear a lot of the entrepreneurs or tourpreneurs, they do a tour from their hometown or their country, and they love to show people around their area, which, we love that. We don't give the tours ourselves, but, we love to travel. We love to meet new people. And we kind of just fell into this. But now I'm in love with this business. I think personally, like, I love online marketing, but I've always had a kind of a void, I felt, like, in online marketing. It wasn't personable or wasn't personal. Like, you didn't really get to meet these people or, kind of talk to them too much in person on the end. But with tourism and doing these tours, it's great because we can do online marketing to gain awareness, get the tours, and then also get to meet them and meet our guests, go out to dinner or share stories with them. So it's a really amazing business.
So can you talk us through, first of all, how many tours are you offering on your site currently?
Yeah. So, and again, I've listened to some of the other podcasts. It's funny. So we started off with mainly like our flagship tours. So the first couple months we started off with what we call like Instagram tours. We focus a lot on millennials and people that, love culture, but they want to take great pictures as well and share with friends. We started with 2 tours. So we had a Bali Instagram tour, which took people to kind of the most famous spots in Bali. And then a Nusa Penida Instagram tour, which is an island just off the coast of Bali. And same kind of thing. So we started off with 2, and then just kind of guests would say, hey, do you have this tour? Do you have this tour? And we expanded now. I think we're at about 20 tours right now, which is pretty crazy. Yeah. So we just added another one today. So now we're at 20 tours in Bali.
So I'm looking right now on your site, which is the Bali Instagram tour, the most famous spots. Was that the first one you started with?
Yeah.
Excellent. So how did you go about building that tour?
Yeah, so I think one thing I've learned is kind of over the years, with marketing and whatnot, a lot of it is perception and kind of how you can connect with the end consumer or the guest. And I think in the beginning, when we looked at this, we saw that there was tons of tours out in Bali. I think Bali on TripAdvisor is one of the most competitive places, let's say that. And I think India is up there and Thailand. But we looked at kind of just we wanted like our flagship product. We wanted one tour that we could just sell, give you all the best spots in one day. So we took a look at all the tours that were out there. There was a whole bunch, a lot of the main spots. Bali is there's a lot to do on that small island, but there's a good handful of about, 3 to 6 really cool, popular things that people talk about. So for us, we identified which were the most popular places and what was actually, in terms of proximity, close to each other, so we could actually put a tour together. And then we gave it a kind of a cool name. So instead of just calling it like, Bali Highlight Tour or Top Bali Spots, we wanted to kind of give it a little bit of pizzazz. So, Bali Instagram Tour, most famous spots. And then when that started going well, we kind of duplicated that to the Nusa Penida, which is the island right next to Bali.
And just trying to understand the logistics of the tour itself. Do you hire someone else to run that tour on your behalf, or do you go out and hire the tour guides? How does that all look?
We don't outsource out to any other companies. We do all the tours ourselves. So not me and Janie is my business partner. Not me and Janie operate the tours, but we hired, now we have 16 guides and 3 basically back office marketing. So we have our own guides that will take the tours directly with us. Yeah, so we've accumulated them over the past 7 months.
So this is, I'm just looking now, it's a 13-hour tour. So it's a full day. It's all inclusive.
Yeah, so we're really focusing. So a lot of our audience now is from the US, mainly, I'd say US, and then parts of Europe, and then Australia, I'd say our main kind of focus. And we see a lot of people, that one thing that we didn't see a lot in Bali was there was a lot of private tours, but not a lot of all-inclusive. And I know when I travel, I like to explore and be adventurous, but I also want to know that, I kind of want to leave my wallet at home, or just kind of know that everything is taken care of if I'm going to go on a big vacation. And I think for us, we're not really focusing on, let's say, we love travelers and travelers are important, but we really are focusing on like people who are going on a vacation. They take that 1 big or 2 big vacations a year, it's a honeymoon or it's a family trip. So the all-inclusive is really important for us. And we've seen really good feedback from our guests in terms of that. They like how they can just know that everything's taken care of. We have a great itinerary, lunch is all set, entrance fees are all set, any kind of attraction tickets are all set. And the other thing is we're really focusing on full day tours, and they're long. Like you said, there's a lot of driving in Bali, and unfortunately the traffic has just been a little bit crazy in recent years because of the huge spike in tourism, and it's always been popular, but even recently it's continuing to grow. So it's a 13-hour tour, but it can start at either 4:30 or 6:30 a.m. and they're going to get back early evening. But yeah, it's a full day tour. You get your money's worth, and you get to see a lot of great things.
Absolutely. And it's interesting you mentioned the labeling it as Instagram, because I remember, and this was so long ago, I'm not betraying company secrets. I think Get Your Guide, our Asia office, was the first one to do that. And I actually remember the meeting I had with the person who did it, who shall remain nameless. And he relabeled it and called it Instagram Tour. And you're right, the bookings just rocketed for that. It was a real eye for Get Your Guide. And it's one of these really cool things that, as digital marketing can be a real headache, and it's very stressful, especially when you run ads that don't work or you can't get traction. But when you get that sweet spot and you see those numbers rock, there is not a feeling like that, is there?
It's a pretty amazing thing. Yeah. And I think for us, now we have an account manager at TripAdvisor and a couple of the other OTAs that we work with. And, they even said our growth wasn't as normal. And I think we got probably a lot of luck and a little bit of skill. But I think it's so important, and again, to touch on this stuff, the marketing part is so important and the pictures are so important, which we'll talk about. But I think just knowing your audience. So for us, we didn't want to necessarily go after, let's say, low budget travelers, which again, nothing wrong with that, or even luxury travelers. We just wanted to be in that probably middle to above average price point where, we were going after more millennials and a lot of honeymooners that love their photos, or families that want to capture these great photos. And our guides are awesome. They help to take photos of everybody along the tour. And we just kind of knew who our market was and our audience was. And we kind of took a name that kind of matched the demographic and ran with it. But it's funny, Get Your Guide had that. And now, now there's a lot that have an Instagram tour too, where they're using stuff about even Facebook, and just which is another interesting thing, is how social media is affecting the tourism industry. But for us, it's just so crazy that when you look at that, how much a title and how much a first image can make a huge impact on your tours.
Absolutely. And that's why I'm really excited to talk to you today, because I know you've been operational just under a year. You've had a flying start, and I want to share some of that knowledge with our listeners today.
Yeah, we'd love to.
What would you say have been the biggest challenges in setting up and getting going?
To be honest, I think it was, weirdly enough, it wasn't the actual bookings. We got bookings pretty fast, which thank God, and we're very fortunate with that. I think it's finding the right people, which, that's probably a common thing, but finding the right guides and finding the right team members that really care about the brand. I think if you type in, Bali guide, there's thousands of guides that will say, hey, we'll take your tour, or oh, you can't do it for 50. We'll do it. Oh, we'll do it for 40. We'll do it for 30. And those keep lowering their prices just to get a job. And once they get the job, they don't really care about the customer. And for us, again, which we'll talk about, customer service is huge for us. Just finding people that actually they want to make money, of course, to survive and to get the things that you want. But you also want to, be part of something bigger and have a cool brand behind you and have a cool name behind you and have fun guests that are with you. So for us, it was just trying to find really good tour guides. In the first 3 months, we probably had I'd say a 30% churn rate off of our guides in the beginning. But in the past 4 months, knock on wood, we haven't kind of lost anyone. So we're at a point now where I think we know what we're looking for. And, if we can't find that right person, we're okay with saying no, let's just wait until we find that right one, even if that means missing out on a few tours. So people, I'd say, is a big one. And especially when you're in different cultures, right? You have to be aware of people think differently. People don't always think like you. So what's logical to you coming from X culture is very different than somebody coming from Y culture. So just being empathetic, I think, is very important, and understanding how other people think and trying to help them get their kind of wants and goals as well.
And when you say you had a 35% churn rate, was that mainly you letting people go because they weren't fitting your culture that you wanted to set up?
Yeah. So at first, in the beginning, it was more us. And that was kind of us kind of we give a couple guys a job and then it wouldn't really work out that well, and we let them go. But then eventually we hired a lead tour guide, Peter. He's amazing. And, we have a small now core driver team that has helped us to build a bigger driver team or bigger guide team. And the good thing about Peter is, he's a friend to all. He's such a nice guy, but he also loves Forever Vacation, and he loves what we're about, and he loves the job that he's getting. So he protects it really well. And he knows that if our customers aren't happy, our reviews will go down and we won't have jobs, and, it won't be as good as it is now. So he's done a really good job. If somebody was late for the customer or if somebody didn't follow kind of our standards, he's pretty quick to say, hey, like, strike one more, and you're going to be out. And in a nice way, but it's really important. And especially in the tour business or travel business, referrals are everything. And as much as one review can help you out a ton, one bad review can hurt you a lot. So I think we're really cautious on everybody that we bring into our circle now. But because of Peter, he's helped us really manage that.
I've seen that in a lot of places I've worked where you bring people in and they kind of police that for you. Not saying that we're lazy managers, but, they're constantly talking about the values and, what it means to customers. And I think those people, that they're hard to find, but when you get them, tourpreneurs, we need to do everything we can to keep them because they just help to keep things running.
Yeah, and we just have a really good relationship. And again, like, they see what us as a company or us as a team has been doing for their families and providing work and providing fun. They don't want somebody else to come in and with a couple bad tours and a couple bad reviews, take everything down that we worked for so hard. So I think that's pretty interesting. And that was always a tough thing in the beginning, is like, how do Janie and I get, these guides to believe in something else? Of course, money is important, but how do we get them not to think short term, but focus more on longer term value? That, hey, all right, I might have to work a little bit harder or work a little bit different now, but if I'm patient and I do this in a year or in 6 months, it's going to be a lot more valuable. And I think that's one thing that was a little bit tough at first, but now finding the right people, it's been a lot easier.
Want to connect with other tourpreneurs? Then join our Facebook group at tourpreneur.com/Facebook.
Do you have any kind of tips for interviewing or any questions that you found have helped you find these people? That's the trickiest thing is interviewing, because everyone tells you what you want to hear in an interview.
Yeah, that's so tough. We go out on tours with them, to be honest. So now that we're in 2 markets and we're looking to expand, Janie and I, we don't have time to kind of interview all the drivers. Now we still, of course, do maybe like a virtual interview if we're not there, but now we really leave it up to Peter, Trina, Aji to do kind of like the allowing into our inner circle or our group now. But in the beginning, it was more, we ask questions, but like you said, everybody says yes. And there's some language issues as well too sometimes with some of the drivers coming in, and, we focus on English speaking drivers, but there's still some, maybe they don't understand 100%, but there's still some, miscommunication. So I think in the beginning for us, it was really tough to sell them something they didn't know or they didn't believe in. So if we're like, hey, you got to work with us because we're going to have so many tours for you. We're going to have great customers. And they're like, yeah, I've heard it before. And I think it was almost like us selling them kind of in the beginning. And then for us, once we felt like somebody that we connected with and they were just kind, you kind of go off the vibe. But we didn't really have like direct interview questions. It was more like, let's spend a day with them. How are they? And I think that's another big thing about guests do want to learn about the culture and the local kind of culture and what goes on, but they just want to also feel comfortable when you're spending 13 hours with somebody in a car throughout the day. So a big part of ours in the beginning was like, let's go hang out with this person. Can we have a drink with them? Can we just talk to them? Like, are they showing us around the right way? Are they just polite? Are they patient if we have to maybe wait or stop somewhere to use the restroom? So I think that was the big thing, is just getting into the car with them, and you can learn a lot about somebody like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. And it takes a lot of time. It's a big time commitment from you and your partner, but it just pays off, because if you see someone and you're out with them, I used to find, and if you coach them and they're just not listening to you and not implementing what you're saying, it's probably not going to work out. And you don't know that until you're out with them when it comes to tours.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, though, to put that time in the beginning, it did everything. If we were impatient and we're like, you know what, let's just hire this person, or let's just do this, or who cares, it would have just killed our business. And there was a couple of times along the way where we lost some drivers, and like right before a tour or something happened, where it's tough because some of the cultures are different. Let's say somebody maybe in Bali, sometimes if they feel like offended, let's say, hey, hey, Getty, on this tour, it would have been important if you did this first. Sometimes they take that really personal if you tell them, and they'll just say, okay, bye. And we've learned that a little bit the hard way too. So going through some tough times where we actually had lost some guides early, really quick, again, having that core team to help, get somebody back in quick enough, or they take the tour, has been really helpful. So what worked for us is we invested a lot of time into the kind of like the first ones. So Peter, Aji, True, invested a lot of time. And the only way we can do what we can do now is because we really trust them, and they are managers, they are leaders, and we put a lot of time into them. And now, they put their time into new guides that are coming in, which helps us out a lot. But if we didn't do that in the beginning, we would have fallen apart by now.
Sure. One of the questions I always ask tourpreneurs, and I don't think I need to go over this in your case, I normally ask if they suffer with any kind of imposter syndrome, but just talking to you on air, I can hear you very confident in what you're doing. I get the feeling you didn't suffer with any kind of imposter syndrome.
No, but I still, it's just weird, Shane, where we're at now. To me, how we're building this company. And I remember when we started getting 3 tours a week, and I was like, okay, cool. And then we got 10 tours a week, and then we got 20. And I think last week was our biggest week. We had 41 tours in a week, and private tours, and 2 to 4 people. It's just really weird. And sometimes that imposter system creeps in. You're like, do I really know how to do this? And I think for us, we're still learning a lot. We're still, constantly learning about the tourism industry. We love our guests. So don't get me wrong about how, I know a lot of the tourpreneurs start by they do tours themselves, and they take the guests around. For us, that hasn't been something that we've done. We've gone actually out on some tours with our guides, with guests. We're very close to all of our guests. But I think from a marketing background, I know how, in general, the tools to get customers. I think the biggest thing that I always get scared about, I have nightmares about, will a guide forget to pick up one of the customers in the morning? Or that's the stuff that scares me. But in terms of imposter, no, I think I'm surprised at how fast it's gone. But I know that's, we're still in the easy part right now. The tougher part will be constant growth. But I think there's still some things that I'm like, do I really know what I'm doing on this stuff? So, and I'm constantly learning. I think it's important that I'm learning a lot about tourism too, and also just trying to get to know our customers more, looking at data, how people are coming into us, how they're finding, how they think about our tours, what we need to improve. I think the one thing that we've learned too is that it's never over. You never put a tour up and you're done. You're constantly changing it. You start to get feedback, and somebody says, hey, why do we go to the waterfall before this? All right, good point. And then somebody else says it, and now we're starting to change it. So I think you're constantly improving your tours too. So it's never kind of just set it and forget it. You always constantly are kind of changing and upgrading it.
Sure. Let me ask you then, what surprised you the most after your first few weeks of operating?
I would say, I don't know if I contradicted myself earlier, but I would say the amount of tours. So in the beginning, it was tough in terms of managing everybody. It wasn't the customers. It was more managing the logistics. So I would say in the beginning, to be really honest, the first couple months, I was surprised at the volume of tours. Now looking back at it, so we have an account manager now at TripAdvisor, which I think there's over now almost 3,000 tours and activities in Bali segment on TripAdvisor. It's very common to launch tours and just never get any impressions or views on them at all. And I think I was surprised at how fast it started coming in. I think at first I thought it's going to come in. It's okay, we'll put it on this distribution platform. We'll start getting tours, and I just didn't think the volume was going to come in that fast. And then the other thing that surprised us, I would say, is I didn't know how quick it would be to kind of create a new tour. So that's one thing that we've been able to, and I heard the last guys talking, and they said, they actually removed some tours, and some of the tours was tough for them, because let's say the food tour, they have to less margin, or they have to different vendors, and it was tough. And I think with us, we use a lot of our same partners that can manage and control multiple things. So let's say, for example, if we have every tour involves some kind of guide or driver. So we have that. And then let's say we want to do a cooking class. We select a really good vendor that we work with and pair everything together. So we're never just going to sell you a cooking class. We're going to give you a cooking class, and then you're going to get to visit the famous Tanalat temple, and we'll package it into kind of a full day tour. So we've managed to keep our tours really, really, really good itineraries, no fluff, really like stuff that you really want to see, and just have good vendors. And it's allowed us to kind of create tours a little bit quicker and launch them on our website and launch them on the OTAs. So yeah, I was a little bit surprised at that. I thought that would take a lot longer in terms of kind of getting the right partners or signing the right agreements, but it's actually gone a little bit faster than I thought.
Did you know every weekday Shane curates the most interesting news articles in tours and activities and sends them out in a snappy daily digest? Grab your copy of the Tourpreneur Daily Briefing at www.tourpreneur.com.
You talked about customer feedback, certainly when it comes to improving tours and the itinerary, etc. How do you go about at Forever Vacations actually soliciting customer feedback?
One thing that we've done is, I think that we've done very well, is really try to take a friendly approach to our customers. And people will probably say that. People say, oh, we talk to our customers, but we're like probably obsessive about it. It's probably hurt our growth, to be honest with you, in terms of long-term growth, at how much time I spend on WhatsApp to talk to customers, which of course I love to do it. It's tough to focus on like deep work and building marketing funnels when you're going back and forth. But I'll tell you our process. So first thing that happens is when you get a booking in, and this kind of goes back to getting feedback, is first thing we're going to do, no matter what the platform is, we're going to create a group chat with them. Usually it's WhatsApp or maybe Facebook Messenger, iMessage, whatever it is. And we're going to really try to start talking to them. Hey, how's it going? Shane, we got your tour all set for July 18th for our Bali Instagram tour with your pickup from here. Here's the itinerary. Let us know if you have any questions. We're so excited to have you. Then we use a lot of emojis too, which has been actually really fun. And it kind of like just loosens everybody up. And you're coming to Bali, so most people are pretty excited about it. So we send a message. And most of the time, people are like so excited. Hey, Ben and Janie, we read reviews about you guys, and they're happy, they're talking, and we kind of have this relationship already. And we send photos back and forth. Well, maybe if they have like a week before their tour, we might say, hey Shane, hope you're excited to get out here. Here's the Lapuyung Temple today, one of our tours, right? And we'll show them a photo, like, oh, that's awesome. We're so excited to get there. So we really, which has helped us out so much, is we try to really create a connection. We have to talk to every guest. I don't want to just send out one email that says, hey, Shane, your tour is coming up in a couple of weeks. You're confirmed. Talk soon. Because I feel like, people want to help people they like. People that they like, they're going to do more for them, or they're going to be nicer to them, or friendly, or give more feedback. So in the beginning, we really take an approach to not email, chat. We want to chat with these people via text message in whatever form it is, and then get that relationship. And then along the tour, when it's the day before the tour, we're going to add our drivers into the group and a couple of our team members. And the cool thing is all of our tours, and I can send you some screenshots later. It's fun. If we're having 7-8 tours going on, we have 7 or 8 WhatsApp groups going with us, Janie and I in it, our guide in it, maybe a couple of other team members, and they're all sharing photos. So let's say Peter's taking a Bali Instagram tour. He's taking photos of the guests, sharing it in the group. The guest is in there. We're all kind of talking back and forth. We have Wi-Fi in the car. So it's really like more like a friend, and we're like a relationship, and we really care. Anything that they need, we really try to move things around. So at the end of the day, they've had a great time, right? Most likely they've had a great time. We say, hey, thank you guys so much. We appreciate it. Also, if you don't mind, we'd really appreciate, it'd mean a lot to us if you'd help us with a review. We send them a TripAdvisor link. And now I think after let's say about 6 months on TripAdvisor, now we have about 150 some odd reviews. We have all 5 stars, 2 4 stars, which were like our first 3 reviews, which I'm still aggravated about. And the titles even say like amazing tour. I'm like, why 4 stars? And now we've cracked the top 100. But what we can see is like, if you send an email after, which I know TripAdvisor says they send emails after, if you book a tour, let's say on TripAdvisor, it's very easy to just click delete. And it's very easy to just like, all right, I'm busy. You get your life going, vacation's over. But with WhatsApp, we really try to keep in touch with them. We'll send ask them for a review. We'll send them like a little picture at the end of me and Janie and the team. So it's really a personal approach. So I think they're open to give feedback and reviews because, I think they have more of a connection. They feel like we really care, which we do. And then actually also one thing we started doing is we started offering now just like a $10 gift card to Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks if they do a phone call interview after their tour as well. So we just had our first one yesterday actually, and it was great. We had 10 questions, kind of like some tough questions too, about their vacation, their planning process, their tours. I think that's so important as we start to grow a company, is just really getting real feedback from the guests, and whether it's positive or negative, and then just constantly adapting and changing and trying to learn and get better.
No, that's absolute gold, because I think understanding the booker's journey is just crucial to our business. And it's like the tip of the iceberg. You speak to a few people, but, I am always curious of when people go on that journey and they don't book my tour, what was it that they didn't like? And it's so hard to get that data and that intelligence, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really tough. And one of our questions is like, hey, if you did you book all your tours with us? If not, why? And then what could we have done differently to get that business? So yeah, I think that's really important, because as we're starting to do our marketing, were we too expensive? Or maybe we needed to offer a discount if there was 2 or more tours, right? Or if it's a package, or maybe they just didn't know about us. So I think that's something that we're constantly trying to get the data on and improve it. It's so important. And again, I think it stems from that direct, like again, the texting with emojis and pictures really helps kind of loosen up the customer and makes them feel like, they're really appreciated, which they are. And it kind of opens up conversations a lot easier.
Yeah, no, absolutely. In fact, I had this myself up in Chicago recently, where I took a load of tours, and there was some I couldn't do. And I was talking to those tourpreneurs, and hey, why didn't you book our tour? And I said, you know what? I couldn't fit it in, because your tour started at 12. The one I was on in the morning finished at 1. And they were like, oh, wow, we didn't realize that. Maybe we need to go back, look at our scheduling. And I was like, absolutely. If there'd been an hour's gap, I could have got to the other side of the city, but I couldn't, make it work. It was only a short. And I know it's different for you with a 13-hour tour. There are things like that are blockers in the booking journey that sometimes we're not aware of. So I love how much time you're putting into the WhatsApp group, and certainly the phone conversations. And it'll be interesting, if we get to chat 12 months down the road, 18 months down the road, I hope back on the show. It'll be how you made that scalable, because the rate you're going with bookings, that's going to take more and more of your time.
And that's the tough part, right? That's the next chapter, is like, it's tough, because I know that's like the bread and butter, right? That is the core of it. If that falls apart, we fall apart. But of course, you have to understand that can't scale to 1,000, 2,000 tours a month, and we'd be talking to every customer. So that will be a next challenge ahead for sure.
So I want to dive into marketing, which I know is your specialty.
Yeah.
The number one question I get at Tourpreneur is, please, can you ask your guests how they get the word out about their tour? So I'm going to ask you, you started off, you built these tours, you said you did well on online marketing. Can you talk us through what you did?
Yeah, for sure. So I think the first thing is very basic stuff that we overlook. So one of the things is having, let's say, for us to get found, we didn't focus a lot on offline. I think it's still a huge part. I just read a statistic that 4 out of 5 dollars spent on travel still comes from offline, whether it's an offline travel agency or whatnot. So we still haven't partnered really with hotels or offline travel agencies as much, which is something that I do want to do in the future. But right now we've really just focused online. So for us to get the word out, I think a lot of the stuff was low-hanging fruit, in the sense where, first off, you need a really good website. It amazes me now still that, coming back from a technology background, I know how in marketing and branding, I know how important kind of that perception is, that first look. If you Google, Bali tours, or Google look at most tour websites, they're, for the lack of word, they're not that nice, most of them. They're not mobile friendly, which, the majority of users now are on their mobile phone making decisions. They're outdated. There's a lot of text and not enough images, or the images are like very blurry, but they're not nice, not nice images. So I think the first thing is having a really clear and easy to follow website. And we're still changing and going back and forth and trying to update and using analytics. But I would say that's the first thing, is having a really good website. There's no point of marketing something that's not well designed. So the next thing that we did too is, we weren't afraid to spend some money in marketing. I think that a lot of people, a lot of tourpreneurs, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of small businesses are really afraid, and they're so proud of their organic reach. I think organic reach is, you can see it, it's going away. It's slowly going away, or it's slowly tougher. You're going to get your SEO on Google coming up from articles, but try to post a Facebook post now and don't boost it, or don't put any ad money into it. If you have 100,000, let's say 100,000, followers, if you don't put any money into it, you're lucky if you can get 15 likes. If you put $1 in, right, you're going to get 100 plus easily, because Facebook needs to make money. Facebook owns Instagram. They need to make money. They're putting money first now. So I think for us, we weren't afraid to spend a little bit of money. And you can do a lot with $10 a day. People who say, oh, I don't have the budget for marketing. Of course you have the budget for marketing, because it's a long-term strategy. So for us, having really good pictures on social media and on Facebook, right? Facebook and Instagram, doing targeted marketing, which, there's some deeper talks that we can have. But in terms of even starting off, if you're kind of a novice and don't know too much, you can do boosting and with really precise targeting. I can target people in Bali, let's say. So when we first started, we were doing, let's say, $5 a day ads for, hey, are you in Bali? Question mark. Take our famous Instagram tour. Click here to get 10% off, right? And I already know they're in Bali because I'm targeting just Bali. I already know they're on vacation or they're not from Bali because you can, on Facebook, you can target people who live at least, let's say, 10,000 miles away. So you can tell if it's not their hometown, if they're just visiting. So Facebook gives you an option to say, target people in Bali where maybe are they an expat? Are they on vacation? Or are they visiting somewhere that's not their hometown? So I can say, hey, are you on vacation? And if you see that ad, you're going to say, yeah, I'm on vacation. Are you in Bali? Yeah, I'm in Bali. Okay, cool. Take our awesome, famous Bali Instagram tour. So I think that's a big thing. It's just leveraging social media. It's huge. Facebook, Instagram, huge. It's still so undervalued right now. And I think Facebook is doing a lot of good things now in terms of trying to focus more on travel. You can't beat Google in terms of intent. Google is the best. You're typing in tours in Bali, book a Bali tour. Like that's intent, right? And that's why it's a bit more expensive because these people are looking for it. Whereas Facebook, it's more based on your viewing pattern. But in the beginning, let's say in the beginning when we started, it was a lot of Facebook social media ads, Facebook, Instagram ads, and then doing SEO kind of stuff and doing influencer marketing has been really big for us. So in Bali, it's like the land of influencers. Everybody's an influencer in Bali. So I think partnering up with them was a really great kind of start for us. So we'd say, hey, Michelle77, you want, we're glad to give you a free tour. All you have to do is tag us in 2 of your posts, write a blog article about us, and let's say, share this post or share this article. So leveraging kind of what you have in the beginning, because our cost can be a little bit lower with the guides, depending on what we have, because we control the cost. So maybe it's bartering, right? Instead of paying, if you don't have a lot of money in the beginning.
But you just shared a massive tip there, because I've some emails on this subject on influencers where some tourpreneurs have given the trip to an influencer at quite a large cost, and then they've not got anything back in return. And I was saying, well, what you have to do beforehand is you have to agree what they're going to give you before you give. And I like how you just said that, I want 2 tags and I want this, that, and the other. It's really important, I think, to agree that before they go on the tour.
For sure. And I think some people that are listening might not agree with me, but I don't feel like the majority, 99% of the influencers out there aren't going to give you instant value. So to me, it's all long-term plays. I actually don't care too much about the post on Instagram because they see it, it's gone. Okay, people don't really care too much. But a blog article or maybe some kind of shared content that we put in, or like a link, maybe we bring them into our affiliate program, which we started, where we say, hey, like we'll give you a free tour. But listen, I want you to write an article about the tour, how you liked it, or a blog. And then, you know what? If you want to also make additional revenue, here's a link. Here's our Bali Instagram tour with your own referral link. And everybody does this now. The bigger boys like Get Your Guide and whatnot. But there's a lot of software, pieces of software you can get out there that you can launch your own affiliate program. And we'll say, hey, you're going to write an article about our tour. Put in your own promo link, and we'll give you 10% off anything you refer. I don't think, a lot of the guys, and we've worked with some influencers that will try to pitch us, hey, $1,000 and I'll post 2 things for you. They usually don't work in terms of like the short term. Even the longer term is tough. To me, it's content. I want the photos. If you're going to work with a photographer, maybe you can't afford a photographer. Hey, I'll give you a free tour, but I want 6 photos of this that I can use on my website, or I want a video of this, or I want a blog. To me, a blog with a link back is really important in terms of SEO. So I would say that kind of to recap is having that good website with a nice brand, using social media and paid social media and PPC effectively. And if you don't know how to do it, there's plenty of YouTube videos out there to learn. And then working with influencers helped us out in the beginning when we didn't have big funds.
In terms of Facebook ads, I mean, you're obviously well versed in it. For anyone out there who hasn't never run an ad, are there any books or courses or anyone you suggest that they follow? Because I asked that question because I know with digital marketing, there's a lot of false or out-of-date information out there as well, because this thing changes so fast.
For me, there's not certain people I follow. But there's a blog. So one blog I love a lot is Social Media Examiner. They're really good. And I can send you the link after. Social Media Examiner. They're amazing. They do a really good job. Ad Espresso is really good. And I can send you some more links if you want to add it into the post.
I would love
it. But I think that's such a big thing. And it's just an excuse when people say, there's so many people that say, I don't have the budget or I don't have time for that. To me, like, that is so important. Like, you need somebody that's going to help to manage your day-to-day operations of the guides. You need to have a hand and a pulse on that. But for you to truly scale, for you to truly grow, and when I was at Arrival, there was a lady that spoke, and she's a really good. She's a tour operator, but she had a really good speech about, like, how do you get to that next phase? Do you want to be a small company, which is okay? Do you want to be a, let's say, in quotes, small company, and you're making a good life, but you're just kind of there as passive income, or do you want to build a big brand? And how do you get to that next step? And the biggest thing is removing yourself from the day to day. So for me, what I try, like my kind of goals lately, Janie's really been focusing on the operations, which has been amazing, and the drivers and the customers. And I still get my hands in there, even though I should probably stay out of it. And she gets mad at me sometimes because I'm always kind of overlooking or just seeing stuff because I want things to be perfect. But she does an amazing job. But for me now, it's really focusing on growth, and that's marketing. So the blogs I mentioned are good, but there's just so many pieces of content you can find online. And like I said, it's not expensive. You don't need a budget of $100 a day. You can do with as little as $1 a day. And I think it's interesting because a lot of people will try it for a day, or a week, and they'll say, it didn't work. But you got to put some money in to try. So what I like now, what I'm doing, and what we're doing Forever Vacation is, now that we're starting to expand, we're in Bali, we're in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia now, and we're looking to go to Vietnam. We did this because we're seeing a lot of our customers are doing multi-country trips. So we want to kind of catch a piece of that pie as well. And we want to, be smart about it, but set up the right networks. But what I realized at first is I always thought, like, before I kind of got into this industry, all right, let's do an ad. People are going to see it. They're going to click on it, and they're probably just going to buy it if it looks cool, right? Well, that's completely wrong. And if you look at any of the studies, people in travel, on average, most people, this is a 3-month, 6-month process. They're looking at 50 to 100 different websites. It's not a one touch point thing. And I think that I've learned over the last, let's say, 6 months and I'm still learning a lot, is kind of how to keep them coming back. So how we're working for us, what we do now is we're going to do, like, if we're calling it a marketing funnel, top of the funnel, awareness stage, just getting them to know about Forever Vacation. Nobody knows who we are, so let's get them to know about us. And we'll do maybe some social media posts with some targeted ads, but we'll do a lot of Google pay-per-click. So Bali tours in Bali, honeymoon tours in Bali, what to do in Bali, those kind of keywords. So then somebody will come to our site, and with modern technology, if you install Facebook Pixel into your website, now we can track and put a cookie on their website, which is like a tracking device. So now, if, let's say, Shane, you come to our website through a Google ad, you click it, and then you click on maybe Bali Instagram tour, you click on honeymoon tour, then you go, okay, cool, and then I'm gone. You leave. That's okay. We don't have any of your information, but now we can track, which is, like most people, if you ever go on a website and then you open up YouTube or Facebook, you're going to see ads from that company that you're just at, right? Retargeting. So what we're doing now is we're spending a lot more money in terms of our budget into remarketing ads. So now, if you come to our website, you're going to see on Facebook after videos. We're putting a lot of time into really nice videos. So we'll say, hey, looking to come to Bali, which we know they are because they came to visit our website, most likely. Check out this tour, check out this. And then they can click over to it, and we're continuously remarketing to them. And the only time they leave that funnel when they're not going to see us is when they actually book a tour. So we'll have a pixel on that we know if this person bought a tour, then don't show them the ads. And now what we're doing now is to try to push them from the top of the funnel down to the bottom of the funnel through the sale. Is we're trying to do more middle of the funnel stuff now, where we're doing a lot of like guides, like free guide. Get our 50-page free guide on how to plan your perfect Bali vacation. So somebody comes to our website, and it took me like a month to create, but it's well worth it. It's like a keystone piece of content. You come to our website, you leave, then on Facebook or Instagram, you see, looking to plan your ultimate vacation, get our free guide, blah, blah, blah. Click here. Facebook does amazing stuff where they have these lead ads that are pre-populated with your email for the user, with their email and their name. So it says, do you want our guide? Give us your email and name. It's already populated through Facebook. They just say submit, and now we get their email. And then we can start and it can go deeper and deeper. But then we can start kind of getting them into a cycle where we can send them an email with a guide and then offer them tours and kind of qualify them as these potential leads that are coming in the next month or in 6 months and so on. So it doesn't happen overnight, and we're still like not even 50% of where I want to be in it. But it's something that like I'm really passionate, and I think it's a great long-term way to kind of grow the brand. And I love the OTAs, but we also don't want to be reliant on them as well.
Yeah. And some tourpreneurs who may be listening might be like, "Oh, Pixel, this sounds complicated," and it's really not. Once like you say, there's lots of YouTube videos, and I think the best way I can present this on the episode today is I was talking to a fairly old guy the other day who was a copywriter in New York City, and he was telling me that back in the day, when he was writing direct response ads, they were reliant on people getting that through their mailbox and then sending back the coupon or whatever it may be. It's like, you kids today, like you do this in minutes. And when you sit and actually think of this technology that we have, where within a day or two that, that ad is getting no traction, maybe the image is wrong, maybe I need to tweak the copy, or hey, let's A/B test that. We're very fortunate that we have this. And like you say, it can be done for as little as $5 or $10 a day before you ramp up. And my advice to tourpreneurs is, this isn't like going to the casino in Vegas, put all your money on back. It's kind of like, you may need 4 to 5 weeks to find out your audience online demographic. So that's the way I would urge it, was not that you're going to hit the jackpot. And if you might do it in 24 hours, good luck to you. Generally, it's okay, that demographic didn't work. Let's change it around. Or that location or whatever it may be. And there are so many different options, aren't there, within the Facebook audience?
So many tools. And I think it just depends what you want, right? It depends where you want to take your business. If anybody says they don't have time for it, I think it's a tough excuse. Like, you can find somebody too, right? You can find somebody if you're lucky to find a good person. And I think the guys from the last bike podcast I listened to, like, they hired an agency and it didn't work out, and they finally got a marketing person. And it's just true. Nobody's going to ever care about your business as much as you, right? Nor should they, because you're the owner. So I think it's really, agencies I think are tough. If you can find a really good, marketing person that cares, that's great. But I think you need to know enough to be dangerous. I think every tourpreneur should know, because marketing is what drives your business. So you need customers. And like I said, we don't control TripAdvisor or Get Your Guide or Tour Radar. They change one algorithm, you could be off the platform. Or one day they wake up and they say, you know what? We don't like your tour anymore. One button and you're gone. So I think for me, it's just like always knowing that I can have control over my brand. I love them, right? We're working great. And I know there's always debates about commission and whatnot. Like, I have nothing wrong with the OTAs. I love them. They've helped us out so much, especially in the beginning. But it's also really important to get your own customers, because when you get your own direct customers, you can get more data, right? You can do more kind of, analytics around it. But these words, they might sound big, like Pixel or confusing or whatever, but it's all easily discoverable online just by searching, looking at a social media examiner, or just Googling how to set up Facebook ads. You'll find out, there's tons of really good articles, and a lot of them aren't really scams. Like, you can't, unless they're trying to sell a course, don't pay for a course. You don't need a course. Everything should be free material. It's just all recycled material. It's all basic stuff. Or go to Facebook.
I agree.
Facebook actually has an amazing help section, and they give demos and show you how to do stuff as well. But I just think it's something that, and like you said, Shane, like, it's so accessible now. You have to take advantage. You have to know this kind of stuff, because the majority of people aren't. So I still think social media, Facebook ads, Instagram ads are severely undervalued. Like right now, for example, I can share data. I just launched a retargeting Facebook ad for our guide. So if you come to our website and you don't make a purchase or anything, most likely you might get retargeted on Facebook that says, hey, coming to Bali, get our free guide. To get it, give us your email. And right now I'm getting them, as I last look, for about 43 cents per email, which is really good, because this isn't just a random person that's, just in Alaska and he never thought about Bali. This is a person that came to your website, right? Most likely they showed intent. And now I got their email. They've been on my website. They're saying, hey, Forever Vacation, send me a guide. And now I have a direct contact to them. So now from there, I can send them that guide, and then I can do marketing automation. If they open it, do this. If they click this, do this. And now I can give them promos based on what they do. So to me, like, that's so valuable to get that kind of information. So I think everybody has to be learning at least basic marketing, if you're running this kind of business.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I feel we could go a whole hour
Yeah,
just on
yeah.
marketing. And it's a huge part of the puzzle, if you will. And I think in future episodes of the show, I know we're going to be bringing in some panels soon. Maybe we do something along that lines. I'd love to
Love
hear
to. Yeah.
models of people who are in the field doing this. And I also, agree with you about courses. I mean, there's a lot of people out there selling stuff that is recycled, and just be very, very careful and do
Sure.
your due diligence. It's very exciting conversation, Facebook ads and Google ads. Google ads, I don't have so much experience with, but definitely on the Facebook side, it's a lot of fun.
Never miss an episode of the show. Subscribe at tourpreneur.com/subscribe.
What would you say are some of the tools or apps, and I'm not necessarily thinking just marketing, but in terms of running your business, productivity, what are the tools that you rely on?
Of course, for the ads, like for, let's say, MarTech, marketing technology, using Google Ads, Facebook, Instagram, in terms of like ad stuff, let's say. In terms of SEO, so I'm constantly, and I'm trying to learn a lot more about SEO. I use SEM Rush. They can be a bit expensive. It gets about $100 a month, depending on what you're using it for. I see value a little bit. I don't know if I'm going to keep using it or not, but it's an interesting tool if you're looking to learn about SEO, and they'll help kind of track your competitors and track you and kind of track your rankings. The other thing I use, which I love, is live chat for a chat tool on our website. You can do different, let's say we have a little chat button on our bottom right, and it'll pop up a message if you're a new customer. It'll give you a different message if you're a returning customer. We can set it if you're visiting a certain page. Maybe if you're visiting the Bali Instagram tour versus the Bali Secret Waterfall tour, it might be a different message. And then people can chat with us directly. Also, we use a tool called Hotjar. Hotjar is really cool. They have a free plan that's pretty basic, but it can give you some value. It's heat maps, so you can kind of see like who's clicking on your website, and where they're clicking. But we actually don't use it for that. We use it more for the screen recording. So it's kind of creepy, but it's pretty cool. It'll record screen sessions for you on your website. So if you come to our website, we can basically, it looks like we're behind their shoulder looking at them as they're on the computer. Now, there's no personable, identifiable information. So if they type in a credit card, we don't see that, or any text, we don't see that. But you can see, like, again, it's like a video. So their mouse is going up here, they're clicking here. What picture did they click on? Why did they move here? Where did they exit? What tour do they go to next? And it's really interesting to kind of see that and then adjust from there. So that's Hotjar. They're really cool. And then we use like Google Analytics. We use Google Tag Manager, which is a little bit more technical. And then, we use Booking right now for reservation software, but we're actually building our own custom software actually now. So funny, like the guys were saying that on the last podcast about how it's so tough to kind of get a reservation management system that has all your needs. So that's what we're working on now with our development team. So we're kind of building our own in-house reservation management system to kind of fit into our needs.
In terms of Bokun, what aren't they doing for you that you wish they were?
It's tough, right? I think so. I used to be a product manager. So I used to be a head of product for a company called DataDeck, which is like a data software. And I know how it is. I know how tough it is. So I'm prefacing it by saying I know how tough it is for them to like manage everybody's kind of, let's say, demands, even if they're little things. So something that might look so little, as like an error or bug, you're like, why don't they just fix it? There's a backlog of hundreds of things. One of the biggest thing is, and we used it mainly, TripAdvisor did a great job of getting us into it because, if you connect to it, we'll give you a free sponsored placement. So that kind of got us in, and then the price point was okay. And it's great because it connects a few, let's say, Expedia, TripAdvisor, and a couple other OTAs. So the whole goal is how do you get everything into one place? I think that's kind of like the goal all tourpreneurs, like the problem they have. How do you get everything, all the tours, all the data into one place? They've done a good job at that to some level. But then I think in terms of like adding, so we get a lot of offline bookings or offline from Booking. Like we don't use Booking's widget to put on our website. I just don't like it. I don't think the design's nice. We have our own kind of custom tool that we built. So it's like getting offline bookings or bookings that didn't happen on Booking. How do we get them over to Booking? Because the goal is to get everything in one place. And it's really tough. Like, let's say you book 2 tours with us on our website. Well, it's not connected to Booking. So when I go in and add you to Booking, I have to add you, your first name, your last name, your email, the tour. Then I have to add a whole new thing where I have to add your name again, your last name, the email, the tour. Whereas I should just be able to have a drop down that says Shane, select it, add tour. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff. the calendar. They don't really, we use Google Calendar now. We connect it using to jump back, but one tool that I think all tourpreneurs should use is Zapier. It's a really cool system, Zapier. It does tons of different automation for you. So things that don't generally work together or talk to each other. Like let's say, for example, if I get a lead from Facebook, automatically send it to my MailChimp account. And if I get a new MailChimp contact in my account, automatically add it to Google Drive, stuff like that. It can kind of talk and move things around. But yeah, so for Bokun, I think the biggest thing is I can't put everything there. I can't put everything in one place.
So I'm just talking out loud here, of course, but did you shop around their competitors to see if any of their widgets would work for you so that it would save you all that time?
But we just kind of took an approach, and I think we started building this website before we really got into the whole industry, before I knew everything and before I discovered you and other kind of resources about that. So my background is just building technology, and we have a development team. So I kind of just took the approach to build. And I think, looking back at it, there's probably other tools that would be okay, but it's tough. Even the ones that I've seen, they're just not flexible in terms of like Bokun widget. If you embed that widget, if you go to the payment page, you even see the Bokun logo, it loads really quick and then it disappears, or the loading speed's not fast, or just kind of how it fits your design. It's not really flexible. It's more like a module where you can't really change everything seamlessly to kind of fit into it. But no, I didn't look at a lot of the other ones. So kind of just built our own now. But now this is why I want to build our own platform. And it's almost done. But again, I think the goal is how do you get everything in one place? And even let's say, for example, even if we did use Bokun to get our website tours in, we still have people that text us, right, on WhatsApp, and they want to book a tour. We have somebody that will call us still, not too much, but they will. Or we still have other platforms like Booking.com or Tourrate that doesn't connect to Bokun. So either way, I got to find a way to get those in. And the problem is they just don't, unfortunately right now, which probably isn't their main focus, but they don't do a great job of getting bookings that didn't happen on Bokun into Bokun.
Which OTAs are you working with currently?
Yeah, so right now we're working with TripAdvisor. We got TripAdvisor. We're working with TourRadar. We're working with Expedia. We're working with Booking.com. I'm probably missing somebody, but I think those are the main four. We haven't worked with Klook yet. We're talking to them. It's a different price point in terms of what I'm seeing a lot in their products, but I don't think it would hurt us. So I still want to look, and we're going to still keep our price the same. So I don't know how well it'll do well on that platform, but I think it doesn't hurt. I think the biggest thing is it can hurt if Klook is obviously a huge company and they're getting a lot of traction. So putting on them doesn't hurt. But if there's new OTAs popping up all the time, we get an email every week that says, "Hey, we just launched this platform. We'd love to put you on it." And as much as that sounds nice, I always ask them, how many tours are you getting per month and how much website traffic do you have? And it's tough because it actually does take a long time to upload all your tours and manage that. So yeah, I think for right now, like I said, TripAdvisor and TourRadar, Expedia and Booking.com, Klook, definitely potential. And also we're in the process now of getting on Trip.com.
Excellent. So it seems like you have the OTAs covered. How do you see that OTA landscape? I mean, you were saying earlier on, you don't mind them, you don't mind the commissions, but how do you view it?
Yeah, I love them. I think people that complain about OTAs, it's a tough subject because you don't have to be on there. So you just got to understand it's a business and they got to make money. You would have never had that booking if it wasn't for them, unless maybe they saw you first on your website and they went over to Klook and booked you there. That's a different story. But in general, just like anything, right? Like if I have a house in the US and I rent it out on Airbnb and Airbnb takes a commission, just like they have experience, we're on Airbnb as well for experiences. But that's okay because I would have never had that. Just like if you're a sales rep and you sell something, you take a commission. So I look at it like that. And if people say, they cut too much in our margins, well, put your prices higher and have a better product.
Yeah.
I love it. I have no problem about it. And people that have a higher commission than others, that's okay. I either won't use them or I'll just use them and change my product around to match. I think it's an interesting landscape. I think you see a lot of the startups now. It's a hot thing, right? Bokun got acquired. I think Fair Harbor, they get acquired too, right?
Yeah, by Booking.
By Booking, right? So you're seeing it's a hot space. I think there'll still be only a few winners. I think Airbnb is doing an amazing job. I think TripAdvisor is the biggest right now, huge. Get Your Guide just raised $500 million. Expedia is still huge. I think you're going to see a lot of the big guys. I think you'll see them eventually gobble up some of the small guys. And I think you'll see it like what you're seeing in social media, where there's like a few that are kind of rocking and rolling and owning most of the market. And then you're going to see thousands of these small tourpreneurs that are just hustling, going out there. But I think you have to look at them as your friend. We're growing enough now. We just got an account manager at TripAdvisor. So I think that's awesome. So we have somebody to talk to. Before it was so tough to talk to anybody. But yeah, it's a business, and these guys are multi-million, multi-billion-dollar companies. I just see either you can be with them or against them, and it's probably not to be. They're going to win at the end. These guys are huge. They're spending millions every month on marketing. I see it as a benefit.
Do AirAsia fly to Bali?
AirAsia flies to Bali. Yes, they do.
They're doing something interesting where they are now offering experiences on their site. And I'm seeing a few more airlines starting to do this. And instead, usually they would partner up with TripAdvisor or Expedia or Get Your Guide, but AirAsia have gone a different route.
So it's funny that you mentioned that, Shane. I was just at Arrive when I met Aaron Sarma. So Aaron Sarma, I think he was the president of AirAsia.com, and then he founded and started a company called Vidi, which was acquired by AirAsia, which is AirAsia Deals now. And AirAsia Deals is all about, they're doing tours and attractions, right? So yeah, I think that's another huge thing. Like you're going to see that it's what Airbnb did. Airbnb started off with, they had their housing. And now, hey, if you already have the guests, why not give experiences, right? It's another way to leverage the resources. You already have them. They're planning. Same with, again, all these airline or hotel companies. A lot of the hotels will use something like TripAdvisor or Viator as like an affiliate partner. But I see them also going into this. So the hotels eventually, or the airlines, exactly. They're coming in. You know your guest is going to Bali or the destination. You might as well sell them tours.
Yeah, absolutely. I just saw Southwest have started doing it, even here in the United States, and they're working with PlacePass, who are based in your home city or home area of Boston. So I'm seeing it more and more. But I think that the challenge they have is how they present the experience. Like just sticking a link up on the homepage doesn't really do much. For me, it's all post-booking a flight, and can they get that data where they know what dates you're going to be in destination? How can they present that to you? I'm going to New York this week, and I got an email a couple of days ago from Booking.com, directing me to their experiences, which I thought was a nice touch because, I booked my hotel, I'm out of there, I'm not searching around, but now I've had this email, things to do in New York, you click on it, oh, I didn't know I could go on a Birth of Punk tour in New York City or a pizza tour. So it is how they present it. I think if they just stick that link on the homepage, I don't see it working. And, we're talking about commission. That's not cheap to do that, to send out an email, to package it and present it, add the links, that all costs. So exciting times ahead. Before we wrap up here, I wanted to ask you briefly about Arrival. How was that event for you?
Yeah, it was a good event. So we got to see the last day of Arrival, and then TripAdvisor had an event as well out there. So they had like an event for their suppliers. So I didn't get to see the first 2 days of Arrival. I caught the last day and then the TripAdvisor event. But, it was my first event, let's say, in the travel industry. And yeah, I loved it. I think the guys at Arrival, I think there's 3 of them that founded it, really seemed like good guys. And it was just nice to have everybody in kind of one room. So you hear about TripAdvisor, you hear about Get Your Guide, these big companies. So it was kind of nice to actually get to see them as humans and see that, they're listening to your problems and they're trying to help it out. And it was cool to see roadmaps, but also to meet a lot of the other local tourpreneurs. So I think like what you're doing now with this podcast is great, because then you can hear other like-minded people and hear their stories and learn and, from their mistakes or from their success. And I think that like anytime you can get tourpreneurs in the same room, it's pretty special because everybody has very similar stories and can share unique things. So yeah, Arrival was it was an interesting event for us. The venue was beautiful and overall well put together, and we got to meet a lot of contacts. So it was the first time we actually got to meet our TripAdvisor contact there, our Booking.com contact there. So it was really nice to kind of put faces with names.
Yeah, we're huge fans of Arrival here at Tourpreneur, and I have to take my hat off to Douglas, Bruce, and Alex because for them to organize this event in Bangkok, it was the first one they arranged in Asia. There was 500 plus these, which for a first go is phenomenal.
Tough. Yeah,
it's I'd really take my hat off to them. That doesn't happen easily or automatically. So I hope everyone who listens to Tourpreneur actually does go to their respective Arrival, because now they have them in the US and
for sure
Europe, now in Asia. So, I think it is value for money. Are there any books you recommend to tourpreneurs, either those who are starting a business or they're in the middle of it? Are there any books that you feel really helped you?
I haven't really read any books in specifically towards, like, let's say the whole, tour industry or whatnot, but just some books that I've liked. I try to read a book a month if I can. So a good book that I like, it's called Trust Me, I'm Lying by Ryan Holiday. So Ryan Holiday is like a really good marketer, smart guy, but just kind of about how like perception plays roles in your business and how media has a big effect on kind of how your brand or how you are perceived. And he talks about how kind of easy it is to spread either, false information, just kind of how to protect yourself and kind of build a brand and the craziness of the marketing world. And then also I just read, which I like, it's helped me focus a little bit more, but it's called Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport. So he actually talks about how people are using social media and technology, too much, kind of the wrong way. So he talks about how to kind of use it more like intently, like really, really how to minimize it and only kind of use what you need. He also talks about focusing. I think that's one of my struggles is, sometimes when you have so many things to do, you get nothing done because you're just scratching the surface of 20 things instead of just really focusing on like deep work on one thing. So one thing I've really been doing is like learn from that book too, but just try to focus on like one big task every day. Like not to be huge in terms of like time, but just what's one thing that if I don't get anything else done that day, what's one thing I'll be proud of? Is that launching a new tour? Is that having an awesome conversation with a customer? Is that building a new marketing funnel or whatnot? So yeah, I think those books were good, and From Good to Great is really good, or Good is the Enemy of Great. There's a couple good ones, but those are the two that I've read recently that I like.
Excellent. I will add those onto the Tourpreneur bookshelf, and I'm actually going to make a PDF of these at some point for everyone. That I'm a huge fan of reading and obviously podcasts, and I think really help us in our businesses. Ben, we've overrun by 10 minutes.
Oh, no.
I really thank you for being generous with your time. No, it's all been really good stuff. I think we could have gone another hour, but I hope you'd be interested in coming back on the show in the future. Maybe tell us a little bit more about how things have evolved for you, particularly, building your own reservation system and marketing and expansion. And our listeners love to hear that.
I would love that. I think there's going to be a lot of challenges along the way, so I'll get to learn a lot, and I would love to share it. And I look forward to hearing more of your podcast and hearing from other tourpreneurs for sure.
Marvelous. Thank you very much for your time, Ben.
All right, Shane, I appreciate it. Have a good day.
Thanks for listening to the Tourpreneur podcast. Be sure to visit tourpreneur.com to join the conversation and access the show notes, including links to the resources mentioned on today's episode. This is Tourpreneur.